Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call to order the Cass County Public Library Board of Trustees regular meeting for July 19, 2023. Start with the pledge of allegiance. All those in favor of the agenda approval, say aye. Aye. All those who are opposed. Consent agenda, were there any questions or anything? I decided to take a business post this month to save time, and I asked Ann my questions ahead of time, so I am feeling pretty good about most of it. Anyone else have anything they wanted to address before we address the consent agenda? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I will make that motion. Is there a group that can use the agenda?
I'll second it. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. We're going to move on to public comment. First on the list is Ms. Connie Boyce.
Once again, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. My name is Connie Poisel. At the last board meeting, a board member asked the insurance representative if they would be covered if they knowingly did something illegal. This question should cause taxpayers to ask questions such as, but not limited to, what past actions or upcoming actions by some members would warrant this question to be asked by a board member? Would the past attempts by some board members to remove or relocate library materials apparently based solely on their personal beliefs, which could result in limiting or creating an undue hardship to taxpayers and accessing information, create civil or criminal legal action? If the board approved a policy that would require relocating, removing, or not purchasing library materials that provided information about the LGBTQ community or included fictional characters who are LGBTQ, could the recent comments of a board member in which members of that community were referred to as 3% of society who bitch and have a big mouth be viewed as based on bias or other animus, willfully depriving a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution, such as free access to information under the First Amendment? Could taxpayer money be used if litigation costs exceed what might be covered by the board's insurance? As previously noted in my past comments, the commissioner's misuse of their appointment authority continues to appear to pose a threat to the integrity of the library and the misuse of taxpayer money. Thank you so much.
Mr. Dowell's registered.
I guess this afternoon, and had to put my glasses on. Copy machine wasn't working yesterday, so I had to write this out longhand. So here we go. This is directed at Mrs. Long and Mrs. Larson. As a member of the public and patron of this library, I want to apologize for my silence during the period of criticism that has been heaped upon the two of you by some members of the public assembly and local medium, which I believe to be both unfair and hypocritical. Over the course of several months, one member of this library board has refused to show proper respect for and dedication to our flag, our country, and for our men and women, including my father, who was killed in action in World War II, and whose remains are buried in an American military cemetery in France. These people have given so much of themselves and their future in uniform and even in the garb of ordinary citizens against an almost impossible oppressor in the form of the British King George to make and afterwards to keep this nation free. This includes hundreds of thousands, blacks and whites, men and women, even children in their teens and preteens, who fought and many who died in a terrible civil conflict that was just one moment in the relatively short history of the never before attempted experiment that we call these United States of America to right a national historic wrong. Where is the public reaction to this? Once again, Ms. Long, Ms. Larson, my personal apologies to both of you for my remaining silent to this point. I thank you both for your commitment to the board and to your dedication to the children of Cass County. So in my heart, thank you. Made the 3 minutes, didn't I?
Thank you. Appreciate the public comments this evening. We will move on to unfinished business. That's the from the health department. No, you saw my email that I sent today. Did you see it, Ross?
Thanks, Lance.
Okay, so I wish I had thought of this before last night when I was reviewing and trying to prepare myself for the meeting today. But I kind of thought to myself, we're talking about something that we all had questions about. Some of us are more in favor of than others. And I reached out to our newly hired lawyer group to ask them, you know, hey, can you give us just some, I mean, nothing we're trying to do is illegal, but can you give us maybe some things for the board to think about? I sent them a copy of the MOU. And just, can you give us some thoughts to how we could possibly come to a conclusion on this? And I spoke for 6 minutes with Ryan, who was one of the guys that we met last week. And he apologized. I mean, I didn't expect to get anything from them before the meeting tonight. But he apologized and said he could get that information to me within the next couple of days. It would take him about maybe 1.5 to 2 hours to kind of research and just put together some things highlighting any legal issues that we might want to consider, or maybe some policy possibilities with respect to what we're talking about. And so just before we start our discussion, I wanted to everybody to come abreast. I mean, I sent out the email, but I realized not everybody got before the meeting. So I sent everybody a copy of the email I sent, and then I sent everybody in within that email that I emailed everybody. It's a lot of email. That's a lot of saying email. But so we've got the MOU from Cass County Health Department. Was there any, I mean, just with respect to it at face value, was there anything that anyone had any questions, comments, thoughts? It does not preclude us from having discussion about this. It just seemed like because from the last meeting, there was a little bit of, I don't know if I like to use the word division, because I like to always try to find ways for everybody to come together, but there were some differing ideas as to whether to or whether not to. So that's why I reached out to them. But any thoughts or questions or comments, some things that we want to talk about or think about that we received the MOU in the packet?
Well, I do.
Yeah, good.
Roger said last time, he said that Farah changed your mind. And so I came in the same way as you did, kind of pretty neutral, but yet, cautious. But anyway, so I've been doing research on it, and I love the idea of Narcan, okay? But I don't like the idea of Narcan in the library. I was talking with a lawyer who said, be careful what you open your doors to. And he's being very broad. Okay, he's being not just Narcan, but just be careful what you open your doors to and keep the perimeter of the library small. Make sure to focus on the mission of the library. If you spread yourself too thin, you may not do anything well. I want to make sure that the library sticks to its, I've got a lot. I won't say everything unless I need to.
Say what you want to say, for sure. This is the time.
I think we need to stick to our mission, which is educational, instructional, right? Educational, instructional.
Informational, educational, and enrichment
And
services.
enrichment services. So stay focused and be careful not to feel like the library needs to, feel like they need to service every need in the community or even more needs in the community than these that are in the mission. And why libraries to distribute this? I looked in vending machines. I had never heard of vending machines before for Narcan. I don't know if you guys had, but they're really inexpensive. They're $3,400 to $1,100. And down in southern Missouri, in this one county, they have put a couple of free distribution Narcan vending machines, and they're looking to put a couple of more. And there are places where it would be good to have these Narcan machines in places that are easily accessible. Hospitals, I don't know if you've tried hospitals, but hospitals outside of doctor's offices, places where people might think, for health, I need a Narcan. So go to some place where, like a doctor's office, or places where people frequently go, like Quick Trip or Walmart. I don't know if they would let you, but there are Walmarts that do offer free Narcan. And there's some Walgreens you have to get permission, but there are some places, and the rescue mission might, they might allow vending machine out there. And it was said that libraries service all people, and they do. All people are welcome at the library, but it's to service them for educationally, instructionally, and enrichment. Yeah. And so anyone is welcome to come in and check out this kind of stuff, but where would we stop? Do we then start, hey, once a month we'll have free flu shots, or once you open the door, I'm just concerned, where will it stop? So just to be careful about that. And let's see. Also, it was said that people may not want to go to fire stations, police stations, or the health department, because they don't want to be seen. And I understand that. But so it was, if people with old folks and they're afraid they're going to overdose, or children are going to get it, they should not be afraid to go, hey, police, I've got a 90-year-old man or father, and I want to make sure he doesn't overdose. But so who would be afraid to go to the police, the fire department, or the health department to get a free Narcan? It seems like we would be inviting all these people with drug problems to the library, because they may not be the ones that don't want to go to the police and the fire department. But to have places where they can get it for free would be great. I just don't think the library is the best place for that. So just to be true to our focus and our mission, and I guess so.
No, I think that's an important thought process. I know that before I was on the board, it had been talked about doing COVID testing in the library. And it's again one of those things like, no, I don't think that's good. And what do we do? What is our mission? And is there other opportunities? Like, I'd be more than happy to, help the health department find some good places to put them. I'm okay with that, but I don't know that that's us. And depending on the area, you have limited hours. So, our Archie branch isn't even open on Friday or Sunday, so there's not even an option. Yes.
So you know what day they are open? Saturday, which is a day that none of our other locations where we have these distribution boxes are open and available.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a thought process when we look at, our options within the community. So I get that. I mean, I know that the goal is that people are actually coming here when they are overdosing, and I would hope that that really wouldn't ever happen. You know, I don't, that more of it's just a pickup point. That's my understanding. But I also have done some reading, and there is stuff that happens. I mean, you can have a massive, you can have really angry people if they are actually overdosing, and you have to deal with that. You know, of course, we'd be calling emergency services because it's the opioid drop. It's the drop in their system, and they can just, I mean, I don't know. Have you heard anything about that? How people can, or you, how people can kind of come out of that, but it's like a state of shock in their system, and then they get angry.
I talked to 3 MTs, a fire chief and a battalion chief. And they all said that coming out of, getting Narcan, it can be very violent. When they are teaching you, these people, how to distribute, first responders and them to use Narcan, one of the first things they tell you is about the violence when they come out of it. And to not ever administer it unless you have 2 police backups to restrain them. And also to have people who know how to respond, because you can have an adverse effect if, this is a quote from one of the MTs, if you give a little old lady too much Narcan, she can have an immediate cardiac arrest or one other.
That is absolutely incorrect.
Well, that's what he said. And there's something else can happen, and you need to have.
There can be a blood pressure drop. Like I mean, we've read about it also. So,
I would love to know your source on that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, that actually has nothing to do with them having it at the library, because they're just coming to get it and distribute it later, supposedly. Yeah. So that doesn't really have. Yeah.
I don't think we can control that necessarily.
No, we can't.
I mean, we can't. So the fact is, we have to decide, if this is our place at the end of the day, if this is something. And I think that, I mean, Tanya, I would entertain the idea of waiting for our lawyers to tell us what they think at the end of the day. What are the possibilities? Is tabling this vote.
I have a couple of comments.
Yes.
This started as a grant opportunity through the state, or you were working with the county commissioners on this? They had to approve it.
Yes.
The county commissioners saw the grant or the application document, and it was written in there that the libraries would be a possible location.
Well, this wasn't a grant. Okay. So the county was awarded some of the opioid settlement funds.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. And so the county commissioners reached out when they knew that they were going to be receiving these funds, inquiring about some of the ways for those funds to be used appropriately as it's laid out in the agreement, in the settlement funding agreement. And so one of the things that I brought up was this partnership with local organizations. My very first organization that I knew that I wanted to work with was the Cass County Public Library System, not only because of the reach of the library system, but the fact that there aren't that many public buildings in Cass County that are strictly public. There's a lot of private businesses. Private businesses can say who can and cannot get things, who can come in, who's not allowed. Public buildings are supposed to be open for the public. Also, like, we partnered with Compass Health because we really wanted to make sure that we were reaching that specific at-risk population, right? But just like our office, Compass Health is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
In Raymore.
Yes.
Or is there Compass Health?
There's one here in Harrisonville as well.
Okay, what's south of Harrisonville that's a public building? Okay.
Yeah.
And our commissioners were aware that the library was going to be partial,
Asked to possibly partner on this. Yes.
they didn't have any reservations. Yeah.
I'd like to make one comment. You said vending machines. I'd like to, I stopped in the next day after our last meeting. I stopped in the health department, just to see what this was all about. And what they use, you go to, especially along the interstate, whatever, you go to these gas stations and they have out front of the gas station all these free newspapers, advertising things. And you pull down the lid and there's a newspaper and they pick it up. That's what they're using. That's the exact machine they're using is what's in all the gas stations around.
I took a picture.
Oh, that is a whole totally different
Is that different
machine.
That's very different. Yes.
That is a
That-
totally
that
different
is
machine.
the
Yeah, what
village.
they're using is these little metal things. You open it up and there's a free newspaper,
Yeah,
like you have advertising newspapers and you know, you've seen them all in front of gas stations, places. And that's what they're using is a little thing like that. It's not a vending machine like you used to consider. Like that picture, that's a vending machine.
yeah.
That's not what these people were using, at least not in their offices right here in town. The other thing is, I don't go into doctor's offices any more than I absolutely necessarily. My doctor don't like me because unless I'm sick, I'm not there. Police departments, I've never been in real trouble with the law. I paid a few speeding tickets, but I've never been in trouble with the law. And if I see the lights, I don't care if they're a half a mile away from me. I grip the steering wheel a lot tighter and I watch things a lot smoother. If you're in a family that's dealt with the police, I cannot imagine you wanting to walk into a police department. There's an overwhelming sense that I have when I see a policeman. Nothing as bad has ever happened to me with a policeman. Nothing. Except a few speeding tickets. Nothing else has ever had bad. But yet I see a policeman and it's, oh my God, it's an overwhelming. I don't get that with a lot of the people in authority. I've talked to governors, I've talked to senators, I've talked to all sorts of people with authority, and I talk to them like I talk to you. But a policeman in a uniform with a gun, with a taser, that spooks me out. And I know if your family has ever been in a different situation with a policeman, I can't imagine you wanting to go to the police department. I just can't. Because I wouldn't want to go to the police department, keep for something I'm not doing something wrong, somebody else is doing something wrong, but they know if I'm there and I'm on the little camera up there, okay, there's somebody we need to start looking around at. Who are they dealing with that might be illegally using drugs? Now, whether they're going to do that or not, I don't know. But I believe they will. I believe that if I walk into a police department and pick up a package of this stuff, I believe that with all the cameras they have available and everything else, that yes, they will look me up and who do I associate with and who might I be getting this for and so forth and so forth. I think the police department is the absolute worst place to have this. Now, fire department's a little different. Now, I would go with the fire department, except nobody naturally goes into a fire department. And one of the things is, okay, I drove up to the health department, I parked in the front and I looked around a little bit and all the employees' cars are clear at the back of the health department. So they're leaving all the parking spaces on the front there, which is in view of Commercial Street. And if I'm parked there and I have kind of an odd car, and I do have odd cars, my cars are 25 years old. My one car has 360,000 miles on it. If anybody sees that car, knows it's my car. I don't know if I was wanting to go in and get something like this. whether I would want to walk into the health department even, because somebody, my neighbor might drive down the street and see a vehicle and go, dang, what are he's doing at the health department? You know, maybe I'm doing something else. Maybe I'm just looking to see what a vending machine looks like, but somebody might say, dang, he was at the health department. I'm going to ask you, what was he doing at the health department? You have to think about the psychology of somebody who wants to keep a secret. The psychology of somebody who wants this available, but yet wants to keep a secret. If my car is sitting out here by the library or the library in Garden State, the library in Drexel, okay, they say my car out there. That's okay. He's in the library. Maybe he's reading the magazines. Maybe he's reading the newspapers. I go in every Saturday and read the newspaper every Saturday. I should subscribe, but I don't. I do read it every Saturday. But the library is a very innocent place for people to walk into. It's a very safe place for people to walk into. It's a place that you walk into and people aren't nosy about you. People aren't intimidating about you. I walk into the libraries and all of our employees are, hi there, how you doing? Or whatever. They're not, I could like to see your ID and what the hell are you doing around here anyway? Whatever. That's my image of a policeman. And is that the image of most police? I know I've never had that image with a police. I've never dealt with a policeman that wasn't helpful. I've never have. But I've got that image in the back of my head. And I know that people that deal with policemen on other instances of other things have an even worse image in the back of their head about what a policeman is. And so I wouldn't think the police department would be a good spot. We need a spot. They need a spot. Everybody that's going to get this stuff needs a spot where they can feel safe walking in the door and walking out and not having all the neighbors say, hey, I saw your car at the library. Yeah, I was walking in, I was reading the newspapers. I read the newspaper every week, see what's going on. But what were you doing at the police department? What were you doing what were you doing at the hospital? You sick? Who's sick in your family? What's going on? We live in a small town area where everybody wants to know the business of absolutely everybody in that small town. There's not too many places in Garden City where you can go. I mean, I don't know if they've ever tried putting in a post office. You tried the post office?
What are that post office's hours?
Well, I don't know what their hours are right now. I worked there for 13 years. I still can't figure it out. Because I was out on the road. My hours was from the time I could go out on the road to the time I could beat the truck back. And usually when I got back, if I could beat the truck back, I could get in. I had a key to get in, but nobody else was there. So I don't know what their hours were exactly.
Wouldn't most post offices be open for people to check their PO boxes?
Yeah, they might need to check the PO boxes. Yeah, because even Creighton, they check they have a place you can check PO. The post office in Creighton is open.
Connie brings up an interesting point. Those are federal buildings.
They're federal. Actually,
Have to go is different.
Actually, this is kind of crazy that the post office buildings aren't owned by the post office. The post office buildings are owned by some private citizen and they're leased to the post office. But they're under the post office control. So they are, because they're under post office control, they are a public building. They're open to the public. But in fact, they are not owned by the post office. I didn't know that till I worked there. And the post office is owned by the post office.
Get back over here.
Do you have
Okay.
to have a minimum number of locations?
No,
on your-
you're not.
And you have to return funds if you don't use, you've got the money no matter what now?
Yes.
And there's been, if I could have a moment just to speak, there's been a demonstrated need for more Narcan distribution in Cass County. Since we started doing this distribution at the beginning of May, over 700 boxes of Narcan have made their way into the hands of folks in Cass County that needed them. Not just stocked in the distribution boxes, but when we had gone to restock, that's how many have been taken out. There's a demonstrated need for this resource in our community.
And I understand that. I just don't, well, the library is the best place for it. That's all.
I mean, at the end of the day, if we ignore the fact that we're a library and we just say, okay, we're gonna let this in, we think it's for the benefit of the community. I think what I really, I really, knowing what statute says, knowing that we can be sued, knowing that we personally could be sued, you know, if something went awry. I would just like to have, since we didn't have legal counsel we just hired our lawyers. We had a period of time that we didn't have it. So, I mean, we couldn't ask the question. And so I think that it would be wise to get you have nothing to worry about, you guys. At the end of the day, there's nothing that you have to worry about. I would like to hear that from our lawyers before I say, okay, you know, I just think that one of our jobs as the trustees is to make sure that we're not doing things that are going to get the community, you know, people in the community suing. Hasn't that been a big portion of what you've said, Roger, multiple times every time we talk about other subjects, you know? It's all about whether we're gonna get sued or not. So I mean, to make this decision without legal counsel saying, you know, I just don't think it's wise. I mean, if we want to reconvene before the next meeting because we think that this is super important, if we got to go ahead from the lawyers, we can. I mean,
Well, and when I reached out to the lawyers, it wasn't like I was reaching out to say, okay, this is gonna be our definitive answer, whatever they say. I
Right.
just wanted to reach out to get
their insight.
we have this resource now, let's utilize it. At the end of the day, what keeps me awake at night is, you know, what is the purpose of the library? And where is the line drawn if you say yes to one thing outside of the scope of the purpose of the library? Where do you draw the line? How do you draw the line? And those are questions that I think before we make any decision, we have to address, because if we decide, oh yeah, let's cross this line that is clearly outside of the scope of the purpose of a library, then we have to have those lines.
Our mission does state resources to the community. Our mission, Cass County Public Library mission says
Right.
resources.
So
to
I
the
guess,
community.
then we have to define what these resources are.
Yeah.
Because I look at the library and I'm like, okay, the library, yes, is a place for resources. I think, could it be, you know, could it be a good idea to have monthly programs with information about where you can get Narcan? Can we offer those types of things and give people opportunities to know where to go and when to get it? Because we're clearly, it was shared with us at last month's meeting, it's not about use in an emergency situation. It's literally about just giving people the opportunity to go pick it up at their leisure when they, you know, have the desire, or when they, you know, are coming to the library, whatever it may be. So it's not about this emergency need at the moment that you're rushing to the library to get this. So, you know, that's where, you know, would it be better served to stick within the library purpose to offer programming that would actually inform people about Narcan? It's a program, it's informational, you know, educate people on what is Narcan, where can you get Narcan, why would you ever want to know anything about Narcan? You know, who does that help? Who might need to get their hands on Narcan? That to me, those are just things that we have to really, before we just go, yeah, let's do this. We have to lay out some very clear boundaries and lines drawn, and is this the direction we want to go? So,
May I ask a quick question?
okay.
If you are proposing something like having monthly, outreach events where somebody from the health department comes in and talks about Narcan and all of that, would the library allow us to distribute Narcan during those educational sessions?
I guess we would have to think about that. I mean,
I think that'd
I'm
be
not
a
sure.
topic.
I'm not sure how our programming typically operates, and I mean, we're honestly, we're into territory that we have never,
I can.
we've never approached that I know of, not in the 2 years I've been here, so.
But I'm just saying that, following that logic, if I were to, let's say, set it up with Dan, that I or somebody from my staff comes to a couple of the different branches a couple times a month, and we hold educational sessions, and we also bring Narcan with us, and anyone that participates in the session can take Narcan home with them from our session. How is that any different than Narcan being readily available in a distribution box?
And I don't know if it would be, and I don't, just because I said we could offer programs, I didn't imply that we would offer Narcan at the programs. I don't think any programs ever actually distribute anything. I think it's more just educational.
They make things,
Well, you can make things. That's different than distributing.
buy
things.
things.
It's different than distributing things. When you make something.
I've taught CPR classes and lessons where we have distributed things like breathing masks and things of that nature.
For people to take home with them.
At the library.
I think that's actually a good idea to come around. The only, I was trying to think that the Garden City has a meeting room in the back. I think the Northern Branch has a meeting room. Harrisonville has a meeting room. Eventually, I think Pleasant Hill will have a meeting room. About the only one that really doesn't have a meeting room is Drexel. And it has just an open area. Drexel's little tiny. I don't know if you've ever been there. But Drexel will be the only one that wouldn't have a meeting room where people could actually be in there at a teaching session and not have all the public sitting there. I wonder why they're going to that meeting, you know? That's the kicker there. I wonder why they're in there.
I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I know that we have an overdose epidemic. Last Tuesday, I was at a friend's son's funeral. He overdosed, and he was 19 years old. And I know this is a real issue that we have. What I do like, and I don't know if you are just throwing that out there because you wanted to make the comparison, I like the idea of education going with the Narcan. And that's that, and I'm not saying, I don't know how everybody's thinking on the board, but to me, that's invaluable. It's not just someone saying, here, take this. It's here, this is why we take this. This is how this works. This is what you need to look for. If we would entertain that, I think it's similar to VIGA. Like, I think it's similar. It's a life-saving thing and an outreach to the community. I personally like that way better than us just being a distribution site. Now, I don't know. I mean, that's still, people are asking questions, are we in the scope? But, and I don't know that you guys really want to come to that. But to me, it is different because it's education with it.
They do have brochures sitting on top of the box.
The same thing.
They do have brochures sitting on top of their box.
Schools, are you distributing it to the schools, like to the school nurse or the counselors? And a child, I'm thinking particularly the high school level or middle school level, could walk in a one-to-one with a counselor or a nurse and say, hey, I need Narcan at my house. Can that school nurse hand it to that child?
They can, they would, because they would be the distributor, not us. We would probably ask them to partner with the same organization at the state that we partner with to get our Narcan.
So you're not getting it out into the schools, are you?
No, I would have to go in front of each. I anticipate that if that were something that the schools wanted to do, that would be something that I would have to go in front of each of the school boards, just like I'm here with you all.
I'm just trying to think of other places you might
Now,
want to try to distribute.
I think that's really smart, Becky. Actually,
No.
I like that.
yeah.
I
now-
run the school boards for you.
Now, if you had teachers that wanted to come to the health department or any of our distribution points and get a box of Narcan to keep in their classroom in case they see something. I know that the nurses' offices and administrative offices, that they are very interested in having Narcan doses available to them. But for some of our much larger school districts, think of Belton, think of Ray Peck, Harrisonville in some cases. If you've only got Narcan in the nurse's office and a student walks into the bathroom and finds another student overdosed, you're talking about having to get all the way to the nurse's office, get all the way back. And for some of these schools, that's going to be very large. I know that the question has been raised at a couple different school board meetings where you had teachers that have wanted permission to have Narcan in their classroom just in case. We would be more than happy to work with the school districts and be able to provide them that education, get them the contact information to the Missouri Institute of Mental Health because our MOU with them is that we are going to be the distributors. That's why all of our boxes have Cass County Health Department on them. And this partnership would just be allowing us to have a space for that distribution. And that's something that's laid out, very clearly in the MOU, that should anyone have any questions or concerns about the initiative, that the library would instruct them to contact the health department, that this is the health department's program and initiative. The library is just giving us some space to house the boxes.
Can I ask, just how many overdoses are there in Cass County on the average month or month thing? How many of them are there? How many people are we talking about?
Well, it gets tricky because are we talking fatal or non-fatal?
Well, none, just absolutely,
In general.
Yeah.
absolutely, they're in trouble. How many of those are there?
When, let's see, fatality, so death statistics are generally about 6 to 8 months. Was generally 6 to 8 months after the end of the year before we get the statistics for the previous year. I think our statistics for 2021, that there were, I want to say that there were 16 fatal overdoses that were synthetic opioid related.
A little over one a month.
Mhm.
So how does that relate to ones that weren't fatal?
I think I may be able to pull that up on the state overdose dashboard. I think they've got, I don't know if they have it granularly down to each of the years. I think they do have that. But
So could you say that more of them are fatal and more of them aren't fatal then?
when it comes to fentanyl getting into these counterfeit pills and into these street drugs, it's more fatal. What we've seen over the past 10 years is not an increase in drug usage, but an increase in deaths from drug usage. And that's primarily because of the fentanyl that's making its way into street drugs and counterfeit pills.
So we're looking at a little over one a month because you said that your statistics is from 22 or 21, so a couple of years old, and it's good. The curve is going up, and so we're probably looking at 1.25 a month or something, or something in that range maybe.
I can't say for certain, but I would hypothesize that will be what we see when we get the statistics out for deaths in 22. Yes.
So could we say there was another 1.25 a month that were non-fatal, that somebody got to them in time and squeezed this stuff in their nose and blow them through?
That's what we're hoping, that with this, getting this Narcan out into the public, that we are getting less of those fatal overdoses, and that we have overdoses that result in folks still being able to live, go to the hospital, get the help that they need, and hopefully reach out to those recovery services. And thank you very much for coming by the health department.
Oh,
My
that's-
staff had a lot of very nice things to say.
Oh, well, fine. I had no clue what we were talking about, so.
I've got those stats right here.
Okay, what are they?
Deaths per year is in the 9 to 11 as a range from 2011 to 2021, like you were saying. Number of non-fatal overdoses, 2016, 12, 2017, 15, 2018, 9, 2019, 6, 2020, 30, 2021, 49.
That's in Cass
Double.
County?
Yes,
The last one was how many?
49.
Huh?
Yeah.
Per year.
Oh, the year, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 49 a year.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see.
That's about 4 a month then, right? Somewhere in there.
Now, with the non-fatal, I don't know if that teases out, opiate versus, synthetic opioids.
This is emergency room visits for non-fatal opioid overdoses.
Awesome. Okay, so, tonight, I don't know, Jessica suggested that we wait to hear from a lawyer.
Well, I don't think the board's ready to make a vote, so I think we just need to table it
Table
for the next time around, or what is it?
Appreciate, talking through stuff since we didn't like actually officially have you on the agenda, but appreciate your off the cuff, willingness.
I
Sarah.
apologize if I impose. I was just like, I can answer a couple of these questions. And of course, if any of you have any questions, any kind of staff you want me to pull up, anything that the, that legal counsel wants to ask about, please feel free. All of you got my card last time I was here. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm pretty responsive to my email. Not usually to Dan, though. I'm slow getting back to Dan and I apologize.
She knows I'm always there.
Right.
Okay, well then, for now, we'll table this and we will move on to our next order of business, which is election of officer. This took place last year, my first time. Doing this.
We're just gonna start nominating.
Open up. Open up and nominate. Like my go-to one.
Not, sorry.
I guess we have a motion. I overrode it. Yeah, I would draw that motion. Just go ahead and vote, yeah.
I guess we will, vote. Get a roll call vote this Roger survey's gonna.
Yes.
For he to be the president. Roger,
Yes.
I will abstain. Yes. Jessica?
Yeah.
Becky?
Yes.
Shake your confidence. Now I will entertain a motion entertain motions for vice president.
I would like to have Becky do it again if she's willing. I would like to make that motion.
I second it.
Okay, we got seconds all over the place.
Okay, so the motion is for Becky as vice president, Roger.
Yes.
Tanya, yes. Diana?
Yes.
Jessica? Yeah. Becky, staying. Our final position is treasurer.
Nominate Jessica for treasurer.
I'll second that. I've done a great job this first year, or your first 7 months or whatever it was. So the motion is to, have Jessica as treasurer, Roger,
Yes.
Tommy, yes, Diana,
Yes.
Jessica,
Abstain.
Becky,
Yes.
okay. And that's it.
That's it.
Simple.
Easy breezy. No one had to campaign or anything.
comes to budget amendment again. Spotlight.
All right, so, let's see. Should have in, my, report, but, over the past few months, well, I guess almost a year now, I've been having quarterly meetings with the business office, to go over the budget, look at our, projections, look at how some of our lines are encumbered, even though they may only say like 30%, we're actually going to be paying like a ton of stuff in like August and September. And at our most recent quarterly meeting, we saw, 4 lines that, showed a concern. The first one,
Was that, just to interrupt,
oh, yeah.
sorry, is that before you went on your?
it was, so we had one in May and then we had one right when I got back.
Oh.
Like I said, Hassan was a jerk because he scheduled all his meetings the week after I got back.
Right.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yes, right when I got back, that was our latest meeting. We found
Okay.
4 lines that had concern. The first one being travel and dues. And this is, it's basically mileage. So, like I say, in my report through June, the library's encumbered about 6,600, projecting year-end total of around 13,200. There will be mileage reimbursements for trainings in August, and an LA conference in October, November, and December are typically lower months. So by increasing that by 2,500, we'll stay under that, and we won't have to, you know, it doesn't look good if we go over 100% on a budget line.
So then you're suggesting, you're saying it, you're projecting it to be 13,000 and some change, but you're proposing 12,500 because you're thinking because of October, November, December, it's not
Yes.
actually gonna be what
Yes.
the projection.
Yes, I mean, I know that we've always tried to budget conservatively. I would be willing to increase it 3,500, but, I wanted to go with the 2,500 because I believe that we will do the same. Second line being professional development. And the main thing in here is, there's, 3,600 for the tuition reimbursement policy. And there is 2,000 for the Donovan Leadership Institute, which we sent one of our branch managers to this year. And that's something that, I do want to keep in the budget in future years, to send one person to. And then the last adjustment is, $1,000 for, a couple of conferences that we, did not foresee at the time we drafted this budget last September. That was the Missouri Evergreen Conference and the Missouri Association of School Librarians Conference. So that should cover us in that line. And then the
Wait,
third one.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this, do we want to ask questions or just maybe have some discussion as he's talking about each one, or do you want him to go through, what would you guys prefer, him go through all of them?
I don't think it's too much to remember, so I just.
Okay, just go through them all,
Yeah, just
and then we'll,
finish up and then, yeah.
we'll fire back at you.
Excellent. The third one, is, insurance. And, as you saw with the insurance renewal, it was even higher than we anticipated it to be. And so that one will, for us to, stay under that 100%, we're projecting that we'll need 8,500, to cover the new, policy. And this also gives us enough room to put, our PITS, software in there, which is the patient incident tracking system, which is the, system we added a couple months ago to put our incident reports in instead of a Google form. So,
Does that fit in insurance?
it's an insurance and compliance line. We have some other things that are for, compliance in there too. So, it does. And then the last one is professional services. And currently for attorney fees, we have 16,000, and based on current year-to-date expenses, projected expenses will exceed that number by about 5,000. And so, that line already, it's one of those lines I was talking about. It's a line that looks very low right now, but we still have to pay our audit and amigos. And that, with that, we will be past the limit of the line. So, I'm proposing, an increase of $5,000 for that line. So all total, it's 22,600, and that would be adjusted from the reserve, the 699 line. So it reduces that just slightly, and makes sure that we are on the up and up. So, questions?
I just have a general question, like in my personal home budget, like if we're going through the year and we've set things out and then we realize, hey, we really put too much money in this account and we're seeing it 6 months, 7 months into the year, can we deduct the overall monthly or, or the overall for this account this year and put it somewhere else? Is there anything within the budget like that you're going, oh, we have way too much money in some of these? Could we adjust in that manner?
So we're not changing the bottom line.
So we might not change the bottom line as much?
Right.
Is
Um,
that-
Right now, no, because we still have a lot of things to come out that are encumbered on the lines. For example, like automation support is very low right now, but our big expense comes in September and October.
Okay.
That's why we have those quarterly meetings, because otherwise in June, I'd be like, yeah, we can slash that line, and Lori would. Yeah, so that's why we started doing that, because, with, they say more money, more problems, and we're trying to mitigate those.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Well, I have questions, but I want to give everybody else opportunity.
Why, I mean, it looks like we dropped our travel and why did we end up over in comparison to what we had planned for? Like what changed in what you had going on? I know you said mileage, like what? Can you give me any other explanation of like?
Yeah, we have more staff traveling between branches
Okay.
and going to area trainings.
Okay,
And especially with Pleasant Hill, their staff are going to different branches and have been for the past 4 weeks.
okay.
So, yes, that mileage, there's just been an increase in that.
That-
And the mileage rate did increase too. And, so, yeah, we're going over a little bit.
And that's set by federal government, by
It is,
the
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
tax,
And-
whatever.
Tax that.
And, in 2021, the travel and dues was 18,000,
I saw that.
but that actually in 2021, it was both of those lines combined.
Okay,
So that covered travel and dues and professional development.
okay.
And so in 2022, it increased to a total of 25,000. And we kept that the same for this budget year. But with the increased travel, I do not believe we will make it within that. So, and I don't like making budget amendments. So,
Is the new Pleasant Hill building totally covered under this current insurance number?
yes.
Okay. So when we well, yeah, we own it, so, but I mean, when it's totally up and running, there's not gonna be an additional insurance premium. Okay,
Yeah, because when we talked to them, I think last year, we gave them an estimate of the value of they know the value of the land, and we gave them an estimate of the value of the contracts. So
okay.
that's what it would be.
Okay, so, under the professional development.
Yeah.
We got that 2,000 for the Donovan, which is for Karen, right?
Yes, she's the one that went this
We
year.
paid for that.
Yes.
It wasn't
It was,
projected
it wasn't,
within,
yeah.
okay. And then, do we normally send someone to the Missouri Association of School Library?
We usually don't, but one of our staff they were asked to be part of an awards, committee. There's the Building Block Award, the Show Me Award, the Gateway Awards. She was asked to be on one of those committees. And that, also required her to, be a member, so she could go to the conference. And so we approved that. With everything else, we didn't foresee that. So in the next year, we'll have more cushion, so.
And then that, the stuff with the new tuition reimbursement, are we actually reimbursing?
Yeah, we received, I think we received 2 so far. So, and there's still time for people to get in on the last term. So, yeah.
How much is the Amigos and the audit? Do you know how much those are?
Audit is. Yeah, 8,000, 8,500, yeah. Amigos comes in multiple bills because they work with Missouri Evergreen and we're
Okay.
also a member of them.
Yeah.
So like one of their bills is 3,500. One is dependent on how many items we have in Missouri Evergreen. It slightly varies year to year, but since we are adding more items, that will probably be more this year than it was last year.
What was last year? Do you remember?
That's a great question.
That's what you say whenever you're trying to figure out the
Yep.
answer.
What a great question. Let's see, I'll see about the, year end. Let's see. Got that right off.
Look it up and email it to you. But
Oh, wait, this will just be the line of
Yeah.
the budget line. I don't
Yeah, it's-
have the total from Amigos from last year.
I'm ready to make a motion of payroll.
is there any other questions?
I'll second it.
I have to make sure.
Yes,
I
Very
make a motion that we approve the budget amendments for travel and dues, professional development, insurance, and professional services as outlined in the director's notes.
I'll second it.
Okay, great.
This is probably roll call, or can it just be a yay or?
Doesn't have to be.
It doesn't be, okay, great. So the motion on the table is to approve the budget amendment as outlined in the director's notes. Those totals $22,600. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
Thank you. We will keep it tight.
All right. Well, director reports.
Well,
Change in staff, branch activity.
oh yeah,
Your-
changes
your-
in
your
staff.
normal stuff.
Robin, take.
All right.
Take it away, Rob.
So, in our branches, we were able to fill the youth specialist at Archie, with Rachel Beaver. She's an external candidate that we brought on. And actually to fill our children's specialist opening at Harrisonville, Shannon Julie, is moving from teen to focus on children's, which opens up the teen specialist role, of course. It's never ending. So we've got that we're looking to fill, and we are looking to still fill a substitute at Archie and a substitute at Harrisonville. So that's where we're at so far with branches.
And then we have the big,
Yeah, so in administration, we did just hire a PR marketing coordinator. Her name's Danielle. She will start on July 31st. And we have the youth services coordinator position open. Heather, she resigned, and so we're gonna fill that. Oh, and the outreach services coordinator, we have interviews for that tomorrow, and the outreach services coordinator is a newly created position for this year. That would be over the bookmobile library by mail, the current library kiosk and any future ones, and any other outreach initiatives for the library.
now has Amy been doing that up till now?
She has been the bookmobile manager, and she has been doing, yes, those things, because we didn't really have anyone else to do it. Yes, with the creation of that position, we will have some interviews and see where it lands. So, but yes, she has been doing.
But
that
she'll
before.
continue to be the bookmobile manager, or
So,
might she interview for that position and then that? would
if
be-
she were to interview for the position and get that position, there is a chance that we could eliminate the bookmobile manager position and switch it out with like a library assistant to have still have another staff member.
Yeah.
If she does interview and is not selected for that, then we will have the outreach coordinator and a bookmobile manager, but that is already built into the budget as approved last year. I went, most extended, worst case scenario.
You want to give us the latest update on Pleasant Hill?
Yes,
Are we still looking at the 31st like that? How-
that's still gonna be the punch list, yes. There are some things that we have noticed on the site, and there are all these like really little things that are just like piling up, and so we're not gonna be able to open in July, and really bummed about that. But we are getting everything ready. We are hoping to open the week of the 7th. But again, every time I say a date, it changes.
Stop saying that.
So all I know is
August-ish?
yeah, August-ish. Even with the changes, the contractor, the architect, we were all on board. July 31st is going to be the punch list, even if everything's not completely finished. So, we're gonna work on that, and if everything is not completely finished, we'll come back around and do it again. So, I love punch lists. They don't know what they're getting into. Then, I have an update to my update, and it's a sad update.
Wait, about,
Kiosk. Kiosk was delivered on, 12th. It was installed on the 13th. Friday night, we had that microburst. The wind blew over the 850-pound kiosk. So it's a total loss. We filed a claim with the insurance. And we are sending all of the information to the company, International Library Services, and they are going to expedite a new one for us. So,
Are you eventually gonna screw that thing to the ground?
yes, that's what we're gonna do. Yep. And the thing is, they
I didn't even,
Okay, it's been awful since about Thursday or Friday last
yeah,
week.
Friday night, it was about 4:20, 4:30. It came through and it like whipped around, knocked it over,
I
so.
didn't.
Yeah, well, and they, when I was talking with them, they're like, that's 850 pounds, wind won't knock that over, how fast the wind? And I was like 70, 75 miles an hour, and, the guy on the other line just goes, oh. It was, yeah, that's why I said it was a real bad day. So I really wanted that to happen too, but we're working on it.
Was it loaded with books?
It was loaded with 6 books. We were
Six
working.
books, okay.
Well, I think the books are actually okay, but we haven't opened it yet because actually the doors are actually bent in because when it fell, it also hit the curb.
Yeah.
It could not have fallen
Didn't
in
hit
a worse way.
anybody's car.
It
We
did not
didn't
hit
have any
anybody's
light
car.
damage,
It did not
anything
hit
else.
any body,
That's
no.
good.
And the awning went up on the roof that we had, so, so yeah, that's one of the worst updates I have. So,
Okay, what about like anything new at NRC from last week when you put this together that maybe we can end on a high note?
yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Actually, we did get an email, early this morning. Yeah, so update, so everything is moving a little quicker. It still won't be done by August 1st, but that's okay. So yesterday, the bathroom tile was installed and the ceiling grid was installed.
There we go.
Today, hopefully, the toilet partitions are being delivered and installed along with the meeting room cabinet. The sprinkler is being dropped in. The supply and return grills for the AC is installed, and the overhead inspection above the grid for the sprinkler and everything up there is scheduled for Monday. The painting of the doors and trim is going to be next week. Carpet will be installed July 31st. So we're getting really close. And once they finish getting the doors and windows in, most of those little greenhouse looking things will disappear, except for the one in the back. So it is moving ahead, and the crew that has been working there has been super nice. They've been nice with the staff. They've been great to work with. It's I wish they would work on Pleasantville. But
So we're talking a couple weeks, I mean.
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking
Sometime in that
it
week.
probably won't be August 1st, which
Yeah.
is what everyone's shooting for, but I'm thinking maybe that week of the 7th or maybe the 14th, that we'll have everything ready to go.
Are we like thinking we're gonna do some kind of reopening?
Yeah, I want to have like a rededication there. So as soon as I have a more concrete date, I'm going to talk to Diana at the Belleville Chamber and have that all set up. We can even do a ribbon cutting on the new space. Yeah, because why not? Yeah.
Why not?
It'd be fun.
So, yeah, NRC is great.
Good.
Awesome.
And, oh, and with the microbursts and the other storms, there was not a leak from above.
Oh, that's good.
The roof is solid. Yeah.
You're like some rep.
Yeah.
We're not talking here. Nope.
Yeah, sure.
NRC, yay.
Okay. Moving on, trustee reports, there's been no CCIC meeting.
They canceled the CCIC meeting.
There was a foundation meeting and, there really wasn't, we're talking about other ways to do some fundraising. There is some discussion about having another used book sale. But there's gonna be a lot of hands-on, there's no place to find a, hold it. And it usually, we've made anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000 on a used book sale.
So you need a place to have it?
In the NRC. And so in the northern, it works better up at Ringwell. That
Yeah.
has in the
More
past.
visible.
We have to do some contacting. Guess who got assigned to do that? I haven't done it yet this week. Our next meeting's in October.
So nothing will happen before then, I would assume. Because
It
planning that takes.
just
time.
depends upon the person I'm gonna contact, if they'll let us have this space free, whatever is convenient for them, and then we'll see. But it won't be before schools get started or anything like that.
Well, put me down for someone who is going to do that,
Okay.
Okay. Unless there's anything else, I would entertain a motion to recess to executive session for the legal real estate person.
I will make a motion to go to executive session for legal, real estate, and personnel.
The motion is to recess to executive session for legal, real estate, and personnel. Roger?
Yeah.
Tony, yes. Diane? Jessica?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. Appreciate you